Wednesday, February 28th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we review the New York Comic Con at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City.
Let's do this.
So for the first time in a long time, I'm actually a little excited about an anime coming out.
Really?
Well, Scott downloaded, we finally watched this preview, trailer, interview special for this new anime called Moonlight Mile that's debuting in Japan in a few days.
Yeah, usually, previews what you download for anime, tend to be really short and they don't tell you much about the show. But I like to download them because it takes like 5 minutes to get one of these things when they do fan sub them. And it saves me the trouble of downloading episode 1 and wasting, more time in my life trying to figure out if a show is worth watching or not.
Well, the thing is, this looks really cool, and it looks like kind of this gritty, serious take on exploration and politics and space, and I guess it has the potential to be like Gasaraki, which is something I really dig.
Well, I think at this point, pretty much any anime that isn't high school drama, wacky high school crap, a fighting show, or any of the, typical anime genres that are super popular is a show that we're gonna latch on to. Like Ergo Proxy. It's like, if you make a show that's like a serious plot that takes place in sort of the real world, like a sci-fi anime or a real horror anime or a real historical anime and not just samurai fighting Kenshin style, you don't have to do that great a job to get us to latch on to it just because we're desperate at this point. So Moonlight Mile seems to be a serious show about explorers and politics and space and energy and all sorts of stuff. So I hope it's good, and even if it's only kind of good, I'm still kind of reaching here for it.
The thing was, I had never heard of the guy who directed it, Iku Suzuki, so I looked it up, and apparently he hasn't done much, but he is known for Dear S, which he worked on.
Not a good show.
Maze, which he worked on.
Average.
As director.
Average to not good show.
And it looks like he directed the fake OAV.
Not a good show also.
Not that bad of a show.
I never watched it. But
I've never seen it either.
Isn't that a man love show?
It's rated highly.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people like it.
Alrighty.
I can't speak on it. Maybe we'll review it if you guys out there really want us to.
I just heard that Fake was a sort of a boy love show, so I kind of wrote it off.
So, in the news, I suppose we should talk about that it's over, it's done. The American Anime Awards have finished their scam, and with the final tragic
they're
conclusion.
going to do it again next year.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm telling you, me, and Daryl Surratt have to make our own anime awards.
I think we should. An independent, non-industry body should decide the American Anime Awards for stuff that happened this year only.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do stuff if you're going to give a Lifetime Achievement Award, you don't go giving it to, who do they give freaking awards to?
Whatever. I mean, our list would pretty much be Satoshi Kon, Miyazaki.
Yeah, there would basically be 4 guys, well, maybe 5 guys winning all the awards, and everyone else would get dick because, well, maybe 6 guys. And if you're not as good as them, then you suck.
Yeah, so who did win awards? I mean, we talked about this before.
Well, let's see. Wait, I haven't seen the results, actually. I'm not kidding.
I'm looking at them right now.
All right, so it was fan voting, which is why it sucked. The primary reason why it sucked. So, I did see the nominees. So, with fan voting, I would say that Naruto had to win at least 1 award.
Naruto didn't win dick.
Wow, okay. All right, let me try again.
Well, remember, half the categories were really weird. I mean, they have such things as Best Male Actor in a Comedy.
Is it that Vic guy that is everyone super popular these days?
No. Vic won an award for something else.
Oh, well, at least I'm on the right track.
Yeah, no, Vic won Best Actor, but not Best Male Actor in a Comedy, which goes to Dave Wittenberg for Zatch Bell.
I never even heard of Dave Wittenberg.
Zatch Bell had Best Actress in a Comedy, too.
All right.
Full Metal Alchemist won pretty much every normal award.
Oh, that was my next guess.
Best Actress went to Mary Elizabeth from Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Second Gig.
Oh my god, an award that makes sense. An anime that came out in the US this year with a great actress. Holy crap, there's one award. They got one that
Wait, though. That was for the dub.
Yeah, she was good.
I haven't seen the dub.
Oh, yeah, she's all right.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
That's the only award on there that has any validity at all.
Oh, yeah,
far.
and remember, according to the internet population who voted on the American Anime Awards, the best manga ever in the history of manga, since anything that had been published in the U.S. is up for grabs, was Fruits Basket, apparently. So I guess I gotta throw away all that Sanctuary and Buddha we got laying around.
Yeah, I guess Osamu Tezuka, Katsuhiro Otomo, and Masamune Shiro have nothing on, I don't know, just the popular shoujo of the day.
Yeah, don't forget Go Nagai.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I could have guessed that, though, because Fruits Basket is sort of the #1 most popular manga in the U.S., so that does make sense. But, oh well.
I can't reiterate enough, these American Anime Awards are such a bullshit scam. I'm really surprised we haven't been sued or at least threatened for libel or slander, but that's the way it is.
I think it's just that they wanted to make awards for, I don't know, because they felt like there weren't any and there had to be, and they didn't actually bother to make the awards any good or have any meaning or respect.
Well, they didn't need to. Remember, the way these things work is it's kind of this industry circle jerk. I mean, look at the Academy Awards, the real Oscars. I didn't even realize they happened until recently.
I didn't realize they happened until the day after they happened, when everyone started talking about what happened at them, and I saw YouTube videos from it, but I never actually saw a list of winners. I don't even know what won Best Picture or anything.
Yeah, me either. I pretty much never cared about him in my life, and I still don't care about him, but...
Nah.
From all the people who talk about going candidly, as opposed to the actors who try to pretend like they mean something, they always say that it's boring as hell. I mean, I think Penn Jillette and Teller said something to the effect of, every award ceremony ever is just like the high school whatever awards.
It's so true.
God.
It's so true.
But yeah, thankfully we won't have to talk about this again.
Until next year.
Hopefully by next year, either we'll be having our own anime awards, or these people will all be dead in a gutter.
I think what we should just do is the anime podcasters should get together every year, get a list of all the manga and all the anime that came out in the U.S. that year, and then we should pick, and it'll just be the American Anime Podcaster Awards. We'll decide among ourselves.
I think among ourselves, by ourselves meaning us and our podcast friends, we have to decide who counts as an anime podcast. Because I looked on Dig the other day after I noticed that Dig podcast searching was broken as I was trying to find a new podcast to listen to.
Oh.
And there's a lot of anime podcasts out there now. Like, they're growing exponentially, and they all really suck.
Well, no, it would just be the anime podcasters we know. It
would just be us and Fast Karate, Daryl Surratt and Gerald and Clarissa on Anime World Order.
Yeah, it would just be...
the Ninja Consultants.
Yep, that's who it would be, all those people.
Some weekly anime review.
Yep, they could be in there too. We would make a little coalition amongst ourselves. We wouldn't just let any anime podcaster vote. It would be us. We would all sit down together on Skype or something and discuss the winners amongst ourselves.
And of course, the thing you can do to always lend legitimacy to anything like that, we'd send invitations to all the great directors of anime that are still alive, asking them for their votes on our nominations.
No, we don't need them to vote.
No. We just ask them.
No. What you do is after you pick the winners, you send letters to the people who won, and if they want, they could call in and we'll record like their acceptance speech, thank you, whatever.
No, but before that, you see, you're missing the point here. Even if no one responds to your letter at all, even if your letter gets lost in the mail, you can then legally say that among the voting members of your board include blah, blah, blah.
I don't think that's necessary.
Why not? If we're
I think it's much better for us. We should just do the Penny Arcade style, the We Were Right awards.
You know they stopped doing that.
Well, that's just they missed it
years and years ago.
Yeah, I think we need to pick it up.
Someone needs to, even if not us, because the American Anime Awards are a blight upon this earth.
All right, now I was gonna let's move on to my news, which is nothing, because I was gonna talk about, I guess, something that was announced. I mean, the New York Comic Con happened. That's what we're talking about this show. And there were a lot of panels there, and you had to imagine among all those panels, and they were all industry panels, there had to be some news worth talking about. But no, none of it's really worth talking about. I mean, such and such manga was licensed, such and such comics are going to come out, such and such movies are now available, such and such people are working on such and such thing, so-and-so signed a contract with so-and-so. It's all just information. None of it is particularly interesting or new or exciting. You can go read it on Newsarama and Anime News Network. I'm not going to bother reiterating it. It's not worth my time or the time in the podcast.
Of course, one final thing, just so you're all aware and you'll be ready for it, but later in the episode when I get to a certain thing that happened at the CPM booth, I am now announcing that a contest we're going to run for a somewhat interesting prize that is currently sitting in front of me on my desk.
Uh-oh.
But we'll get to that when the time comes.
Grim's just trying to get rid of crap.
I don't want to spoil.
That's what we should do, is all the crap at our house that we don't want anymore, we should just get rid of in contests instead of throwing it out. Be like, yeah, I ate this banana. I don't need this banana peel anymore.
All right,
Geeknights contest for Scott's banana peel.
Next Monday, we'll have a contest for who can get the 12-inch CRT that is sitting under my desk unused.
Oh, then after that, don't tell him, though, that the week later there'll be a contest for the 17-inch CRT I'm trying to get rid of.
Oh, don't forget the 40-gig hard drive that doesn't work.
Ooh, good prize.
So that was kind of awesome. Normally, I say things of the day right about then. But instead, for about 10 minutes, I was saying such things as motherfucker, shit, god damn it.
Crap ass shit motherfucker.
You see, between doing the front half of the show and the back half of the show, I thought, hey, let's get that cool Scott's thing of the day so I can put the audio in the show. So I started fiddling with my Awesome Mixer to record it. And that causes my Awesome Mixer to crap itself, partly because my computer is physically a nightmare mess.
And you're holding out replacing it until the summer. God knows why. You should have replaced it last summer. Oh, no, sorry. I lied. 3 summers ago.
Because every day that I don't upgrade my computer, the computer I am going to get with the same amount of money is like 1% faster.
I know, but if by that logic, you'll be sitting here in 2030 not buying a new computer.
No, because something's going to push me over the line.
In 2031, the computer will be 10 bajillion terahertz instead of 90 bajillion terahertz.
Yeah, but you see, we're still on this cusp here. And 2, right about when I'm going to get a computer is right about when Team Fortress 2 is going to come out. And I'm going to start playing FPSs again. But that's all beside the point. After rummaging around and hitting my computer on the side a bunch of times, USB started working again. So we're back on the road.
Oh my.
And by the road, I mean the road to Podcastville.
I think we're already living in Podcastville.
So, things of the day.
Right. All this week, our things of the day have been openers to various television shows that are sung in other languages besides English. I'm not going to say foreign languages because this might be your home country that we're talking about here. On Monday, what did we do? You did Chinese Sailor Moon.
Yep.
And I did, I don't remember.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I don't think we need to do a recap. Suffice to say, check out the things of the day all week. Because of all these things out there, we have been kind of picking the best or most interesting
I
of
did
them.
Hebrew Macron 1.
Ah.
Yesterday, you did Sonic Underground in French.
Sonic
and I did
Underground.
Mario Brothers Super Show in German.
Now today, we're going to prove probably something that we've been thinking about, and now there's no way around it. It seems that the German people, for whatever their good points and bad points, are the masters of taking American or Japanese shows and either faithfully recreating the openers in their native language or in creating entirely new openers that are in many ways better than the originals.
Yes, I present to you the original opener to Sailor Moon again. Why is Sailor Moon showing up twice this week? I don't know. I don't even like Sailor Moon.
Here's the Sailor Moon.
The original opener to Sailor Moon in German is so badass. It might be one of the best openers ever.
I mean, the music is really good. It's good in the kind of techno that we like. It's good song. Aside from that, the opener itself, like all the Sailor Moon openers, is very well animated and very stylistic. And if the show were anything like that opener, Sailor Moon would be a great freaking show.
Man, if Sailor Moon was like that opener, that would be holy crap awesome. I would watch every episode of that show.
See, the thing is, the reason I watched all of Sailor Moon was that while the show is mostly Monster of the Day and, Sailor Moon style antics, there are a lot of scenes in the show, just not enough of them, that are just like that opener.
Yeah, how many scenes like that? Like one every 20 episodes?
About one every 8 or 9. It's not that bad.
It's still pretty bad. It should be the whole show. And the whole show should only be 26 episodes long.
Yeah, as opposed to 200, but
Yeah.
suffice to say, I watched it all, and it's not that bad of a show. There are worse.
I guess if you have nothing better to do with your time, then you could watch 200 episodes of Sailor Moon. But anyway, things I want to point out about this opener. Number one, of course, we said already, the music in this opener is so badass. Holy shit. And two, there's, like, towards the middle of the opener, there's a quick, like, it's like less than 2 seconds of animation.
It's like 3 beats worth of stuff.
Yeah, of the masks, like, turning around, multiplying, and then, like, the mask guy sort of coming up and taking up the whole screen. Like, every time I see that imagery, it just gives me this feeling of, whoa.
Yeah, it's just like in Utena in the Black Rose Saga, whenever it cuts to the basement where all those kids died long ago, and they all just in one motion look back toward you.
Yeah, it's really cool. And if there was an anime that gave me that same feeling that I get when I see those masks turn around throughout the whole anime, that'd be the best anime ever.
Now, see, this has happened before to us. You know, this thing, the style and the mood and the vibe of this opener is so much darker and better than what Sailor Moon actually is. The same thing happened with the Utena movie. If you watch the AMVs to the Utena movie, they make that movie look amazing. You'll watch them and think, holy shit, this movie is going to be the best thing ever.
No, it's not. It's Naked Cars.
Yeah, Naked Cars.
Naked
But you wouldn't know that from those music videos.
No, because Naked Cars aren't in the music videos.
So I was going to do the One Piece opener in Italian.
Oh my god, is the One Piece opener in Italian awesome.
It is so much better than the Japanese and the American openers.
I agree.
But instead, I want to do the opener to Gargoyles, the American cartoon in Germany. Now, unlike the Sailor Moon thing, which is totally different and better, it is pretty much a straight-up perfect rendition, just it happens to be in German. In fact, it sounds a little bit cooler because the German language, at least to my American ears, sounds a little bit more dark and medieval.
Maybe because that's where the medieval stuff happened, in Germany?
Yeah. But I like Gargoyles, and I like this German opener, and I think this proves that the Germans are absolute badasses when it comes to remastering or remaking the openings of shows.
Maybe they try really hard at it. I have no idea. But yeah, the German opener to the Gargoyles TV show is awesome.
So, enough awesome. Let's review the New York Comic Con.
All right, so New York Comic Con, for those of you who do not know, is a primarily comic convention, but it also includes anime and gaming in the Jacob Javits Center in New York City. This is the second annual one happened this past weekend.
That was an awkward sentence.
Yes.
You see, you might remember, we've talked about it a bit, and we did a show on it last year, but last year they tried to do a New York Comic Con.
For the first time ever.
And it was perhaps the most poorly managed debacle of a disaster to ever have graced New York City.
Yes.
At least in terms of anime, manga, comic conventions.
Yes, well, basically, to sum it up, they decided to have a convention in New York City because there wasn't one, and it felt like there should be, which is correct.
Ding, there's a reason why there aren't any.
There's a reason why there aren't any conventions in New York City, at least not nerdy ones. Because there aren't any convention centers in New York City that are good for having nerdy conventions in.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about what happened last time. We've talked about it enough, and you don't want to hear about it.
Just to sum it up, they had a lot more people than they could handle. They had to turn people away. It was unhappy. It was crowded. It was bleh.
So this year, they got more space, and they tried to rectify these problems, and instead, we got to see the actual con, which had a very different set of problems.
Well, yeah. Basically, I think the number one problem with the convention this year is the timing of things and the basic simple logistics of what went on. It's like you could buy a ticket and you could get in, and they stopped selling tickets for Friday, so everyone who paid got in, and no one showed up. If you showed up and didn't get a ticket and get in, that was your own damn fault for not visiting the website or not reading any information. So that problem was averted. They solved that one. Here's the problem they did have. Let's use our personal experience as the example. We show up, all right, on Friday. We have Friday-only badges, and on Friday, the con is open to normal people from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Now think about 4 to 9 p.m., and it costs us, what, $30?
Yep.
See, I'm trying not to be hard on this con, but $30 for 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., where for very little much more than that, I can get a whole weekend at Katsucon or Otakon.
Yeah, the prices of the badges don't really make too much sense unless you buy the weekend pass, which is sort of annoying because there's no reason, as I will get to, there's no reason to buy a weekend pass to the New York Comic Con.
Sadly, that was the saving grace. Sure, it was only open 4 to 9, but by 6:45, I had done everything I wanted to do at the con, and I grabbed my stuff and left.
Yep, I left soon after. I think like 7-something-ish I left. I don't really remember.
You could literally do everything at this con in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Not counting.
Well, I mean, if you're someone who cares about buying comics, first of all, this isn't the con for you because there isn't much in the way of buying comics. And two, even if you did want to buy comics and you came there to buy them, that would basically take you a half a day to look through all the comics there. And if you wanted to go to panels and events, which I don't really, I'm not interested in the panels and events that they were offering, then maybe it would be worth it to go all 3 days. But
yeah, except all the panels that are worthwhile cost extra money and sell out and are hard to get to, or happen before anyone can actually get into the con.
Yes, that's what I was trying to allude to before. The number one problem with this convention, we show up. They were smart in that we could get our badges anytime during the day.
Yeah, we showed up at like 2 o'clock. We went in. There was no line, no crowd. We got our badges, and all right, let's go get some food. So we left.
Yeah, I mean, we looked, and there were people who were waiting to get in the doors at 4 p.m., because until 4 p.m., it was like, exhibitors and industry-only time, which I think they should have moved to Thursday and had Friday been everyone day, but whatever. And there were people waiting in line to get in the door at 4 p.m., maybe like 100 people, 200 at the most.
I counted there were about 180 people, because I had that stupid axe clicker since we got a box of 1 billion of them from Katsucon.
Yeah, and there was no point in us waiting for 2 hours in that line so that we could be among the first to get into a room.
So, of course, because there's no food anywhere near the Javits, we walked a ways.
We walked a ways to, 8th Avenue. We got some food. We came back at around 3-ish. So we got an hour until the doors open. When we get back at 3, there was a line going from where the line was before out into the street. And we had already checked our codes, so there was no way we were going outside again.
Now, so we're smart. Now, all these other people, we watched people trying to, game their way into the line or cut ahead of people or, just kind of walk in the door. And there's this one awesome security dude standing there. He was probably the best part of the whole con, as far as I was concerned.
Maybe.
He's standing there, and he's just yelling with high energy, keeping these nerds in line. Keep walking, less talking, yelling at him. Very much ridiculing anyone who actually tried to jive him and get into the line where they shouldn't. And he was sending everyone outside and telling them they were stupid for trying to get into the line at the middle.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only reason this didn't descend into chaos. That single man saved the con.
Yeah, I mean, because he pretty much beyond him was the roped off area where you don't need so many people to manage because there's roped off area. But, he was managing everyone who is not in the roped off area, keeping them from being stupid.
Now, I gotta say, the sheer number of people at this con who tried to sneak in or cut in line or get past this guy was astounding to me. It averaged about 2 or 3 a minute.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, how many people were trying to, sneak around.
The guy was getting more and more angry as time went on, as people kept coming up with sob stories or excuses or trying to, distract him and get around behind him just to cut in line.
He was cool, though, because obviously this line was for people who had badges already and wanted to get in, to the actual con. And anytime someone showed up to him without a badge yet, he would say, go up there, get your badge, and when you come back, I'll let you in here. At least he was cool. He wasn't, mean or anything. Anyway, as a result of this crazy line and there being only one entrance to the convention that supposedly started at 4 p.m., we couldn't get into it until past 5 p.m.
In fact, it was about 5:30, a little after 5:30, that we finally got through the doors. And the thing is, there wasn't any reason for it to take that long. The line could have been easily processed faster. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they only had one guy at the front checking badges.
It was like a single file line of everyone who wanted to get into the con right away at 4 p.m.
Now,
Why did it have to be a single file line? It could have been a 5-file line. It could have been 3 or 4 5-file lines. There are multiple entrances to this place.
Well, here's what really bothered me. After we got into the con and I got bored, so I went to leave, and I noticed after I went out and got my coat that there was no line to get in, and there was almost no security or anything. So on a whim, I just walked back up without my badge visible and had no trouble getting anywhere I wanted to go, just about.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Anyway.
Yeah, so we finally get in after standing in this...
Wait, no, first, there's a problem with this. The fact that the con opens at 4, right? And people can't realistically get into the convention until about 5. You know what the problem is?
Well, wasn't there an event that you wanted to go to at 4?
There are a lot of things scheduled for 4. Gee, that's great. You scheduled something for 4 when even though the con is open, no one can get in. I mean, even conventions like, Otakon are not so run by fans. This is a convention, New York Comic Con, run by the industry. It is paid for. There's a company that runs the thing. It's a company, Read Exhibitions. All they do is run conventions. That is their job. They run trade shows. You think they would know better than to have events at the same time as you start letting people in. Like someone's gonna come into the door at the exact moment the con starts and run to an event immediately. Otakon is that smart enough not to do that. In fact, every anime con I've ever been to, even the really terrible ones, like OhioCon 2.0. I don't know how con is now, but when you have a con, you don't start your programming, your scheduled programming, until a little bit after. You give people time to get into the convention. You have your main, room open so people have something to do as soon as they get in. But you don't start scheduled events until people have time to get into the convention center. That's just stupid.
So we finally get in, and there's this big open area. It's pretty much, to your left is a gigantic dealer's room. And that's it.
A dealer/exhibition room.
It's just a dealer's room.
Actually, no. If you actually look at who's in that room, only about 25% of it is dealing and selling shit. The rest of it is all people just exhibiting shit and showing stuff off.
But it wasn't anything special. I mean, there were mediocre games that were being demoed, and effectively it was just marketing.
Yep, that's what exhibition is.
Yeah, and to your right was a little escalator that went up to the Artist Alley area, except there was a line to go up the escalator, and they couldn't let anyone up until people came down. Already, mind you, the con had just started. We'd just gotten in the door. And pretty much it was almost impossible to get up there at any time. And they weren't managing this line very well. There was one guy, and every time one person came down the escalator, he let one person up. And the line pretty much went straight across the entrance to the con, preventing anyone trying to get in from getting anywhere else without shoving through them.
Yeah, they should have just turned the escalators
and no one even
into
said,
stairs.
No one even said what the line was. So there was just this crowd of people, and then this other crowd of people standing around this crowd of people trying to figure out what this first crowd of people is for. And here's the guard, he pretty much just said, I don't know.
Yeah, basically when I went up to the escalator, when I was done in the main exhibition hall, I wanted to go upstairs to the Artist Alley. The guy, he would just stop everyone from going up the escalator, unless you were a special person, then he would just let you up. Then, people were basically constantly coming down the escalator. As many people as wanted to come down, they didn't care. And then every, minute, he would let, 10 people up the escalator. Then he would stop everyone.
Yeah,
I would let 10 people up
I went over here earlier than Scott while he was still looking around the dealer area. And when I finally got up there, I couldn't actually go into the Artist Alley. It was so full of people, I literally would have had to push people out of my way or stand there and shuffle at a rate slower than an old person buying fruit at a convenience store.
Yeah, the Artist Alley was ludicrously crowded, and the aisles in the Artist Alley were very narrow, narrower than they should have been. And the actual booths at the Artist Alley were kind of small and close together. So, if there was a popular guy at a booth next to you, and, 3 people were waiting to talk to him, they would basically cover the front of your booth and then make it harder for people to walk in the aisle, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they have it, I think the problem was, and this is actually one good thing about the New York Comic Convention, is usually when you go to a comic convention, right, the semi-famous people or the famous people are guests of the convention. They have panels, they wheel them out for autographs and stuff like that. But they don't usually have Artist Alley tables. Artist Alley tables are for, the small-time people who, they're not guests of the convention. They pay to get in there and whatever. At the New York Comic Convention, there were lots of famous creators who would have been guests of honor at most mid to small-sized comic conventions. And since the New York Comic Con was so big and so up there, these people were just in Artist Alley, which was awesome, except for the fact that Artist Alley was tiny. Thus, it created a bigger problem when you have a famous guy just sitting there going, "Hi, how you doing?" And now people are lining up and crowding around in a cramped artist alley.
Granted, I'll admit, since I don't really read many comics, I didn't know who any of those people were, so I had really no reason to be up there, and I wanted to just browse, but I couldn't browse. Really,
no, browsing was pretty much impossible.
The only thing I could have done
was,
was look for names of people, but I don't recognize any of these people, so I just gave up after about 10 minutes of trying to squeeze in. And
yeah,
went back
I
down.
basically walked up and down the artist alley looking at the people's names above the booths, and then looking down to see if they were actually there, if I recognized the name. Let's see, what else is going on? At the end of the artist alley was the podcast arena, I think, which is where all the comic podcasts were hanging out. And, they had a lot of room over there, and they were having a good old time, and woohoo, awesome for them. I went over there, I talked to a bunch of people, and it was awesome fun going down that way if you were interested in podcasts. If you didn't know those people, if you weren't interested in podcasts, you're probably just like, what the fuck is this shit, Charles? Who are these people? Why are they in between, the gaming room and the artist alley? Whatever. It was cool to have a podcast arena that was sort of, noted. It shows that the con is respecting podcasts in some way. But, I don't know, it didn't really seem to do anything except provide the podcasters with a fun place to hang out for them. And a place for their listeners to meet up and hang out.
I imagine the only reason they have podcasting there at all is simply because they expect these people to cover the con and thus provide more press.
Perhaps. I mean, it really does seem like the New York Comic Con is incredibly podcast friendly. I mean, they have their own podcasts. They're podcasting all their panels over time. The guy who runs the con goes on podcasts and talks to people. So I guess they're really trying to harness the power of podcasting in some way.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway, beyond there was the gaming room, which I didn't go in, but it was basically a bunch of CCGs being played and stuff like that. And that was also where the autographs were being done. But I didn't even know that because there was no way to know that. I actually heard stories from other people that they wanted to go to someone's autograph session, because I don't really care about autographs, and they couldn't find it because it was hidden in the side of the game room and there wasn't much signage to tell you that it was going on.
So pretty much the only other thing we did was wander around the giant dealer's room. And not even all of it. I mean, half of it was just people selling comics.
Yeah, the back, left-hand corner was just people selling comics. And, I guess if you want to buy comics, good for you. But if you're in New York City, why do you need to go to a convention for that? There's 4 tremendous, awesome comic book stores that you can go to.
Though at least
get better deals.
In this area, Konami had a big setup, and they were pushing, all the new DDR mixes, and they gave us a bunch of free CDs of the music from all their new mixes, which, of course, we actually kind of threw them for a loop when, they give them to us, and we said something like, oh, yeah, we had these at Katsucon. We were giving them away. And they were taken aback by this, what? How'd you get them? And then we just left.
Yeah.
So
I guess one of them, it was an EB giveaway, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We only had one of them. They gave us 3 or 4 that we didn't have already. Oh, well. What else was in that main dealer's room that was good to look at?
Well, CPM was selling stuff. CPM, the company that's pretty much going out of business.
Yep.
If they're not, well, they're effectively out of business. They're just selling off their stock. So we talked to them for a while. They were cool. They had, it wasn't just, the usual $5 DVDs or whatever deal. I bought a pile of really bad anime for almost no money.
Uh-oh.
Including Silent Service and Grappler Baki.
We're not watching that shit.
No. However, the guys were really cool. We talked to them for a while. And when they, rang up my order and they gave me my little baggie with my DVDs in it, he grabbed a fistful of other stuff and shoved it in the bag and said, here you go. Now, little did I know at the time, but he was actually trying to kill me. You see, when I got on the train to go home, I looked in the bag, and among the things that he had shoved in there, without my asking or paying for, was the soundtrack, the OST, to the second worst anime ever, MD Geist.
OMG.
So thus, I'm going to have a little contest. I want you out there to write or say or in any somehow express to us not only what was the worst anime you've ever seen. I mean, we know MD Geist is the second worst anime ever. What is the worst anime you have ever seen? But it's not just that easy. You got to tell me why it's bad. I want examples. I want details.
Yeah, and I guess whoever has the best one will get the MD Geist soundtrack.
The original soundtrack to MD Geist.
I have a feeling that people are not going to enter this contest because they do not want the prize.
Including such songs as Prologue, Gang of Craziness.
And wait, what's the best one?
Brain Palace.
Woo! Brain Palace. All right.
I don't know. Final program quotation mark D quotation mark is pretty cool.
You mean, what's that called?
Death Force.
Death Force, that's right.
And of course the snazzy football uniform.
Ooh, football. All right, let's see. What else did we see that was cool in the dealer's room? Oh, there was like a sci-fi DVD selling person, but they had a lot of cheap anime DVDs. We got all of KO Beast for $25.
Yep, I'm very pleased with that. We're going to be reviewing KO Century Beast probably next Wednesday.
Maybe. What else is cool in there? There was a different, every major comic publisher had some sort of booth or display there. So, I stopped off at all the ones that I know, and I chatted them up. ADV was there selling their Chevalier DVDs. There were quite a few people selling the same manga that I saw at Katsucon at the same prices I saw at Katsucon.
Granted, the anime industry seems to be slowly recouping from the bad years they've had recently, since they were here, at least the ones that were here in full force.
Yeah, they basically, Viz had like a thing right up front. Like they had a little house, and like they were giving away their canvas bags and their free sneak peek mangas. Viz was out, like that's the biggest convention setup Viz has. And Viz didn't even go to Otakon this year, so that was pretty cool to see them there. Who else was cool? The DC booth was basically just like this rotation of comic creators doing signings and whatnot. And it was actually kind of funny because it was really small and cramped, and you had to like kind of look around to see who was sitting where. They had like 4 separate desks of different heights and positions. And if you were the last person in line to talk to a creator, they would give you the sign to hold that said, "I am the last person in this line." Ha ha ha.
Wow.
I saw some nerd holding the sign and I laughed at him.
Yeah, we did see while we were waiting to try to get into the con, Stan Lee walked by with his entourage, and if he hadn't been as far away as he was, I would have totally run up before the guard shot me and asked him why the hell he bolded all those random words.
Yeah. We probably could have run up and like been like, "Excuse me, Mr.
Are you kidding? He had an
Lee."
entourage of like 30 people around
It wasn't
him.
like 30 people.
It was at least 15
like,
people.
No,
there were a lot of people.
It was like 5 people.
No, it was far more than that.
That's not what I saw.
That's what I saw.
I don't know. I think you're.
There were
wrong.
in all seriousness at least 15 people following him in like this teardrop shaped trail.
That's not what I saw. Anyway, yeah. One cool thing about this actually was down the right side of the exhibition hall. It was actually sort of poorly laid out. These people all had their backs to the wall, and there was like a pillar in the way, and there wasn't a lot of room in front of them. But down the right side of the exhibition hall in the last aisle were tiny booths for all like the ridiculously independent small-time publishers. Like Vertical was over there, and like all the people you usually see in Artist Alley at mid-sized conventions. And that I saw a lot of cool stuff down that way. I just didn't want to buy any of it. But it was pretty cool talking to a lot of those people like, "Hey, what do you make here? Whoa, I never heard of that. Ooh, that looks pretty cool."
Yeah, other than that, we ran into the guy who does Dr. McNinja, who is totally awesome.
Yep, Dr. McNinja guy is awesome.
Scott ran into Jim Vowles, the former con chair of Otakon. I had already given up on the con and was getting my coat at that point, but...
Yeah, basically, I think the final word in New York Comic Con is that it's a big room. It's full of some awesome stuff and some not so awesome stuff. If you know comics, the Artist Alley is really awesome if you can get around the crowdedness of it. Because,
well, not just it's if you know comics and you care about the semi-famous people who do them.
Yep. I don't know. If you want to get autographs and sketches, there's pretty much no better place because whoever you want to get them from is almost guaranteed to be there.
But other than that, don't, because I saw a lot of anime fans, and I walked around just kind of asking people about the con since I really didn't have much to do at it. And there were a lot of anime fans or people who like were at Katsucon or went to anime cons at this con. And without exception, they were all very much disappointed and bored and said they'd never come back.
Yeah, it's pretty much, even though this is like the biggest, baddest Comic-Con in the East Coast. Pretty much only San Diego Comic-Con beats out this one. It's not run any differently from any other Comic-Cons except that it's bigger. Really big. Too big for its own shoes.
Really, if you like the stuff they've got, you can do all that stuff. But even beyond that, there's really no way to hang out. There's nowhere you can just sit and hang out with other comic fans easily. It's just crowded and hard to get around and expensive and difficult to get to. And I was thoroughly unimpressed.
Yeah, I mean, if you like comics, I'd say it's worth it to go for one day if you're a comic fan. Like Friday or Sunday, not Saturday. It's not worth it to go to this thing on Saturday ever unless there's some crazy event that you must go to. But none of the events really interested me. You can go to the website and look and see what the events were. All of the cool events like see Stephen Colbert or see Stephen King or watch the new sci-fi TV episodes before they're on TV. You need separate tickets for all that shit. And they don't really tell you where to get those separate tickets or how much they cost.
Actually, when I was going around asking people about the con, they must have assumed I was press or something because, I'm asking them stuff. So they're always at the end like, hey, so you know where I can get tickets to whatever? And I had no way to tell them. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I really like about pretty much every anime convention is a badge to the con is a badge to the con. You have a badge, you can do anything as long as your badge is for the right day, you know? If you buy a Friday badge, you can do anything that happens on Friday. At this con, and I think a lot of other Comic-Cons, all right, a Friday badge gets you in the door on Friday. Oh, you want to do that? $10. Oh, you want to do that? $10. And a lot of the stuff happens at the same time. Or you don't know where to get the tickets, or only special people can get the tickets. And, all right, while that's not nice and I don't like it, I guess it's fair. But what I don't think is fair is that when they promote this con to you, they say, hey, come to the New York Comic-Con, Stephen King will be here. Or, hey, come to the New York Comic-Con, Wes Craven and Stan Lee will be here. And that's a selling point to come to the con. But coming to the con doesn't actually get you that. It's like if I said, hey, buy this game, it has this awesome car in this racing game. But then you buy the racing game and the car isn't in there. Oh, you actually have to buy this other thing to have that car. It's sort of like a disingenuous sell when they do that, and I don't like it.
Plus, it's just more, the greater problem with cons like this is that, no matter how great a con is, the content will only take you so far. You're not many people who go to these geek cons really seem to want to go to nothing but panels and events. They want to spend some time hanging out with other geeks, which you really can't do at a thing like this.
Yeah,
of course, then again, at a Comic-Con, I mean, you all remember when I covered Philly Wizard World last year, it was very difficult to strike up a conversation with anyone. People tended to shy away if I said hello. That was without a microphone, I might add. I didn't even have any of my stuff out. I was just some guy saying hi, trying to talk about Spider-Man.
Yep, I mean, the primary reason I decided to go as opposed to not go is because there were a lot of people at this convention that I knew, either from the internets or from real life or from whatever, that I wanted to go and say hi to. Hell, there were people there that I knew that I didn't even know were going to be there. Like, the Ninja Consultants were there. I didn't even run into them, but they were there, and I didn't know until afterwards when they did a show on it, If I had seen them there, I would have stopped to chat and say hi, and I think that's the number one thing the New York Comic-Con has going for it, is that a bunch of people I know are there. But even when I ran into people I knew and started to talk to them, like Jim Vowles or whatever, we had to stand in the aisle and talk, blocking the way, and we couldn't talk for that long because, it wasn't really like a hangout. It was just stopping and saying hi in the middle of a hallway in a busy convention room. It's not like in an anime con where even an anime con, if all you do is events and stuff, there are lots and lots of events where you can go to the event and talk to people. And this, it's sort of like a social event, or play events where you can, even at a panel at an anime con, there's a lot more interaction with the panelists themselves. It's less of a top-down sort of thing. When you go to a panel at a Comic-Con, it's super famous guy up on the dais, you sit there and be quiet and listen to what they say. Maybe you can ask a question at the end. That's it. It's I don't know.
I really can't jive with cons like this. I'm a social creature. If I go to a con, it's mostly because I want to meet and hang out with people. And even if I wanted to do events, there was really no event at this con, maybe just because I'm not much of a comic fan, that interested me at all. And I must say, part of the reason I went was that way back, I used to complain Comic cons, I definitely don't like them. They're kind of, they're not my bag. And a lot of people out there, our listeners, and Scott said, hey, you can't knock it till you tried it. Well, I went to Philly Wizard World, and I went to the New York Comic Con. I hated both of them and regretted going to them, and I probably will never go to a Comic-Con again.
Yeah, I mean, if I go back to the New York Comic-Con, it'll have to be because, like, I don't know. In order to get me to go back, there would have to be some, like, awesome shit going down for me to buy the one-day badge.
It would have to go beyond. I mean, we could get a table in the podcaster alley. That wouldn't be difficult to do at all.
Yeah, if we had a table in the podcast alley, I might sit at.
See, no, what I'm saying is even if we were given one totally free, unsolicited, I still wouldn't go.
Really?
Because that means I have to, for 3 days in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, take the train down to the city, walk my ass over to the Javits, and sit there in a loud room, not playing music, not DJing, not doing fun stuff, just sitting there talking to people.
Oh, I don't know. I might go if we had a podcast alley table, but
that's all you. You can run it.
Other than that,
you gonna take the train every day?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Because it's not just the train.
It's a tough call.
It's the train and then walking over to.
Well, see, here's the thing: is I can get the table, right, and I could go on Friday, and if I'm not having a good time hanging out with people in the podcast arena on Friday, I can just stop coming. I just won't show up Saturday.
You can't really do that.
Why not?
I mean, a con like that, if you've got one of those precious table spots, it's really not cool to just not be there.
I can give it to someone else.
Who? How are you going to give it to someone?
Some artist I know or something.
Yeah, so now there's an artist
podcaster sitting next to me
who already has a table.
Yeah. Oh, even so. It's
I cannot
yeah.
I cannot think of a situation where, well, then again, it's not just that. I can't think of a situation where I would ever go to a fan convention in the Javits Center in New York City ever again, let alone a comic convention.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have that anime festival in the Javits Center, like, what, later this year, next year?
I predict that's not going to go well.
I also predict it's not going to go well, but I somehow feel like I have to go to it to see what's going to go down.
You know what? You said that last year about the New York Comic Con, and I wisely stayed home and did whatever I did, and I'm a better man for it.
Yeah. I guess now that I'm going to be working in the city again, it'll be, I guess, less painful because I won't have to pay for the ticket because I've already paid to go to the city every day of the month. So
it's all you. I can't think of anything that would drag me back to a Comic-Con.
Yeah. It's a tough call because you're basically paying for anyone who buys a weekend pass. You better be one hell of a comic fan who's going to go around to every artist and spend time looking at everything and every booth and go to all the autograph sessions and figure out how to get the secret tickets to the secret special events.
Yep, you'd better know the names of all the people who draw your comics. Yeah, you're not going to have
if
fun.
You're not someone who, like, is fans of comic creators, like, if you're not that nerdy, there is really nothing at this con for you because you're basically going to there's going to be a bunch of people who are somewhat famous, but you don't know their names, you don't know who they are, and that's like 90% of the con's entertainment value right there.
So, once again, more important than all that, tell me about the worst anime you've ever seen. Whoever tells me about it the best gets the original soundtrack to the hit anime video, M.D. Geist.
And the New York Comic Con is a Comic Con, only big.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.